don't want to overuse them. They're usually, a seasoning is usually added at the start of the dish to kind of help create that depth of flavor. So when you're making pasta, often you'll add some salt to your water when you're boiling it. When you're making a sauce, you'll add some salt, pepper, different things at the beginning. And that's how to hopefully enhance the flavor, but not change it. We can over season. Anybody ever had something that's been over seasoned? Yeah. Yeah. It is, yeah. A little goes a long way. And then we can quickly get into too much salt. Yeah. I know that like maybe I didn't like the flavor of something very much. And then you try to compensate for, I don't really like the flavor, so I'm going to add a whole bunch of other stuff to it. And then it definitely becomes over seasoned. And now you've tried to just change a flavor, which really is not the point. Maybe I just didn't like the flavor, but somebody else did.
I need like 2 more minutes of this.
Okay, no problem. Our different, so basic seasonings, salt, pepper, sugar, acid, different types of salts, kosher salt, iodized table salt, other ones, sea salt, have like the plain salt. Different peppers, black pepper, red pepper flakes are pretty common seasoning as well. They definitely add some spice. Sugars, we can have granulated, powdered, brown sugar, different types. And an acid, like a vinegar, wine, lemon juice. When we made our bruschetta, we used balsamic vinegar. We used acid in there. When we do salad dressings, we'll be combining an oil with an acid. And you add other things in there to create your flavor of the salad dressing. But you can always start with a basic vinaigrette of an oil and add some sort of like a vinegar and acid to it. The basic seasonings, salt, pepper, sugars, acids, gonna be the basic things. We can use them to enhance our different flavors. A lot of writing on this. There isn't so much. We don't have a ton of slides. It seems like it.
Everything's are going to go. It has to be by. I mean, 1 week is how I gave from the
Ready?
I gave on the 16th.
Ready?
That's the busy.
All right.
Your seniors get to do that in May. Yeah, like I bet Destiny's gonna be sad when you leave. I bet Destiny's gonna be really sad. She's probably not gonna know what to do without you. That's why you didn't protect her. Yep.
A lot of those. If you cook like a noodles or something in a broth, it's gonna have a different flavor than when you just cook it in water. Same thing with like a vegetable. I cook, I like to make these rosemary carrots and I cook them in a broth that enhances the flavor by using that aromatic liquid. And I add some herbs. And then cured foods, often like salt, sugar, nitrates or nitrites, are used here. All different things, okay? Flavoring is the way the food tastes.
Mhm.
We can use seasonings to enhance that flavor. Or we can over season. This little paragraph here at the bottom right, just kind of says how, like, what is the difference really? Like if you're cooking pasta and you add a small amount of salt to the water, the pasta is still gonna, it's gonna taste like cooked pasta, okay? It's been properly seasoned. We've added a little bit of salt to it, seasoned it, we cooked our pasta tastes good, okay? If we would add a lot of salt, then the cooked pasta is gonna take on, this distinct flavor of salt, okay? Salt become the flavoring, not a seasoning. So we can definitely add too much of something, and it'll mess up the flavor of our food. So a little goes a long way. Oh, they're in the, I stuck them on those rolling carts because, the basketball carters have been using this room for hospitality. So I didn't want to leave anything sitting out. All right. Questions on seasoning versus flavors? Season to enhance our flavor, not to change the flavor. That can be over seasoned.
They're making pasta.
And then all our different types of flavorings, herbs, spices, vegetables, aromatic. Okay, so looking at our herbs and spices, we are on the back, if you're on paper. Herbs. Herbs are gonna be the leaves, stems, or flowers of an aromatic plant, okay? When we made our bruschetta, we used fresh basil, that is an herb, and we used the leaf of the plant. Spices can be the bark, the roots, seeds, buds, or berries. So I don't read your notes, but if we have time, I'm gonna stick in the quiz. So herbs and spices typically come from different parts of the plant. The herb is going to be a leaf, stem, flower, spices, bark, roots, seeds, buds, berries. Okay. Herbs and spices, they do give their own distinct flavor to a dish. And we can also use them together to create, flavor combinations.
They're making pasta.
I'm a big fan of basil, rosemary, mint. I like to grow some different herbs. Sage, fresh sage leaves, on corn on the cob, butter, wrapped in foil and grilled. Very, very good. I like to experiment with different herbs, spices. Alrighty. So then, okay, our herbs, they are available fresh or dried. Typically at the grocery store in the produce section, there'll be like one wall and they have lots of different fresh herbs that you can buy and use. You usually add fresh herbs at the end of cooking, okay? Because you don't want to add them too early, you might lose some flavor. You also have to use 2 to 3 times more than you do a dried herb. Okay, so just our dried herbs that we can get in the herb and the spice section of the grocery store, You have to use a lot less of those than a fresh one. Dried herbs are much stronger just because the oils are concentrated during the drying process, so we can use less of them. If we lightly crumble or grind them up, it's going to release the flavor. And that's the first one we want to get those good flavors from herbs. Spices are most often used in their dried form. So while they come from, berries, bud, different parts of our plants, usually we use them in their dried form. We can get them whole, add early during cooking. We can cut or ground them up, toast them, and we would add that for cut from later. Herbs and spices are different parts of the fresh one. No spicy, we use dry.
Is your volume up?
All right, let's go ahead and close this map book. Couple things I want to get started today. We're not going to be
Now we
real
have
long.
to
I do
submit
have a
about
few
storage
things
of them.
on,
For that,
um,
I just have a whole bunch of pages of, where you're gonna be choosing one herb and one spice to do a spotlight project on. I have it all, a template for you, that you don't even have to create anything. You just download the template, go with it, okay? What you're gonna do. You want me to go back?
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine.
Are you sure?
I got it.
Okay. So some of our common herbs, basil, bay leaves, chives, you don't have to write anything down.
so we're gonna talk about job interviews. Kind of talked a little bit about
Cilantro,
that last time, about how to handle
lavender,
those job search situations and job interviews. You need to be
lemongrass,
prepared about talking why you're an ideal candidate
marjoram,
for the position
mint.
you're interviewing.
There's lots of different varieties of mint.
What is a candidate? You know, what does that mean when I say a job candidate?
Oregano, and again, we have different ones, we have Italian, Mexican, Mediterranean, so there's different varieties of oregano. Same thing with parsley, there's a few different
Come on, we wake
varieties.
yet?
Rosemary, my
Job
favorite,
candidate.
sage,
I'll give you like half an hour to wake up. I thought that was funny.
savory is actually an herb.
Somebody be brave.
Tarragon, thyme. And some of our common spices, as you can see, as we look at
Bunch
our
of people online,
herbs,
so it's really anybody who applied for
what
a
color
job
are
is
like
a
all of
candidate
them?
for that job.
Green, so that's a
So you need
good,
to be able to tell them
you know,
things they know about
clue
you
there
so
that
they
they
can
come
consider
from,
you.
mostly the
So one of the
leaves
first
is
questions
like
you can
in
get, one of the
one stem
assignments we're gonna do
of
today is tell me
of
about
plant. Okay,
yourself.
so now as we go to spices,
Probably one of the
they're all
first
different
questions you're gonna get
colors.
to start the job interview.
They come from different parts.
What are
of the
some
plant.
things we could
Like
say
beetroot,
when someone
different
asks
seeds.
an open-ended question like that?
Allspice,
Tell me about
anise,
yourself.
capers, caraway, cardamom, cayenne, chili pepper, cinnamon, cloves, coriander, cumin, fennel. These are like little
You guys just wanna
seeds.
get the
These are-
assignment?
So different parts of the plant,
Okay.
ginger,
Let's go ahead and
mace,
open our mouths up
mustard
and get the
seed,
canvas. I can see I'm not gonna get a whole lot of participation out of discussion based stuff today.
nutmeg,
I
paprika.
have 3 assignments on
peppercorn,
canvas. I'll do them with. Fair enough?
poppy seeds, saffron, star anise. Saffron is one of the most expensive spices, and it's because of the labor to harvest it.
So the 3 assignments I posted today are the positive in my weakness, the confident candidate,
Saffron
and tell
comes
me
from
about
a
yourself.
plant, the flower, and it's like the inside.
Tell
I
me
can't
about
remember the
yourself
name
is
of
the longest one.
Like you
I
have
want
a
you guys to do
flower
that last.
and the little
Let's do the
inside
positive in my
parts of the
weakness.
flower where like the pollen would be. That's where saffron comes from. And so it is extremely labor intensive because you have to actually like pick it out of each flower. And that's one of the reasons why it is so expensive. Sesame seeds, turmeric,
The
vanilla.
positive in my
Vanilla's also become really expensive as well. All right, so now back to our outline. Here's our storage. For us. If we store them properly, they can be fresh and flavorful. If we expose them to heat, light, or air, we can speed up the loss of flavor, which is probably what I'm doing because I have my spices sitting right
All
next
right,
to my
so we
stove.
talked about this a little bit the other day. When someone asks you, what's your biggest weakness or what's a weakness you have?
Number 7,
It's important that we
storage.
do well
There's
with
those
that
4
question.
things, but I
Start
forgot to
blurting
give
out
you
stuff
space
that
to
we're
write
awful
them
at.
down. But to store
Well,
them,
I'm
put them
really
in a tight glass
disorganized,
jar,
And I'm often
covered
late for
cabinet,
things,
drawer, pantry. Away
and I have a
from
hard
heat or
time paying
light.
attention and get
I do not.
sidetracked in
stoves,
multiple projects at
dishwashers,
one
sinks,
time. Would those be good
or
answers to
air
that question?
So I have mine right next to my stove.
Probably not, right? So what should we do?
But it just makes sense because I'm cooking and I want them right there. Storage of our herbs and spices. Fresh ones, fresh herbs. If you have a plant, and obviously you got fresh herbs, you just keep
What do
it
we do with the
potted in the
weakness to an
plant.
employer?
And then the ones that you can buy fresh, picked, you can put in the refrigerator. Some of our herbs are pretty dominant, herbs and spices, and they can overpower the flavor, like rosemary, cinnamon, cardamom, paprika. I like cinnamon though, I've never really found it.
Stop your interview
All
for.
right. So I guess
Then be clear and state how you're working on
rosemary,
that
I can
weakness.
see, cardamom.
I always
No,
try to
paprika.
turn
I
that
think paprika
weakness
doesn't
into
taste like-
something that can be perceived as
Anybody
a
else?
strength.
I think paprika doesn't really.
So this
taste
worksheet
like-
gives you a little example of that. Here's an example of my weakness. I speak what's on my mind. I keep it 100. Right? I say what I'm thinking.
We are.
Could be a
all about
weakness. We
herbs
can
and
probably turn that
spices.
into a strength though, right? Somebody without reading word for word, tell me how you could relay that to me, an employer, as a strength. What's something you could say to turn that into a strength? Okay, not necessarily a strength.
Said that, your weakness is, is to keep your mind or whatever. It is like how you.
And then we want to use our herbs and spices.
Okay.
Build layers of
Anybody have any
flavor,
ideas?
and add them at various stages of cooking. Check our seasoning and adjust.
The answer is literally on the
Our herbs and
worksheet. I
spices,
want you to
that's
read
the
it word for
final
word,
step
but somebody help me out a little bit.
process. Okay. So that is our herbs and spices. These are it.
I think people appreciate the ability for me to say what's on my mind. I understand that not all people speak the same way though, and at school I've been working
Questions
on
about
positive
our herbs and
communication
spices.
and listening to people's needs before responding.
We have a short video.
Alright, pretty good.
I'm hoping it plays.
Does anybody have that weakness? Does anybody feel like one of your weaknesses is maybe you can be a little bit too honest sometimes with people? A little bit too blunt? That'd be a good way to spin it. What are some other
Video.
weaknesses? If I don't get some out here, I'm gonna start calling people out, and making them answer.
Like a bird.
What's a weakness you have?
That's not it.
Come on, guys, I've seen.
All right, this is herbs and spices from E to Z.
Leo's nose was cause for alarm, so Dad brought Puffs Plus lotion to save it from harm. Puffs has 50% more lotion and brings soothing relief. Don't get burned by winter. No. Deserves Puffs indeed. America's number one dish.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker.
All right, here's the.
Dill, AKA dill, is actually a member of the carrot family. And I think of it as a very sneaky herb because it's so often confused with fennel, which it tastes nothing like. Although it was first cultivated in India, it has been most embraced by the Scandinavians, probably because it goes so well with beets and potatoes, especially certain. Rosemary, which may be the most identifiable herb flavor in America, comes from an evergreen shrub of Mediterranean origin. It can grow up to 15 feet in height if left untrimmed. In fact, a lot of landscape architects will use it as a natural deer barrier. Turns out deer just hate the stuff. They won't walk through it, and they won't eat it, probably because it tastes so good.
Why is our video?
I never make pizza or spaghetti sauce without true or Greek oregano. It also works and plays well with eggplant, chicken, and red meat. Mexican oregano, by the way, is a member of the verbena family. The easiest way to get herbal goodness into food is, of course, to simply put the herbs in the food and leave them there. This is best done at or near the end of cooking, or even at the table once the cooking is over with. The challenge comes down to the fact that we've got to do some slicing and dicing here, and that can be a problem because if you overhang on herbs, they basically turn into a puddle of brown, gooey, green stuff. Not good eats. Now, plenty of technologies have been developed to help us around this problem, but they usually range from ridiculous to medieval to just plain crazy. Look at this. Mowing the lawn inside the house. Some people even attempt to take a perfectly good tool like this pizza cutter and use it for cutting herbs. And that just makes a good tool look bad. Nope, as far as I'm concerned, there's one tool, disassembling herbs.
Sage
It's a
fried?
good old fashioned.
That necessarily
Now,
give
I
weakness
propose
in
something in the
professional
age
setting.
range, but anything from 6 to 10 will definitely do the job. Now, there are two approaches for cutting up herbs, and they
Yeah,
depend
but
on the size and shape.
you
of the
get
leaf.
stage fright if you were working
Large
like in the
uniform
food
leaves like
industry and
basil
asking
can be
for
cut
something
into
order.
razor thin strips called chiffonnade, which is French
There's
for
more,
razor thin strips. Just stack the leaves on top of each other, say 8 to 10,
Sort of a
and
lawsuit,
roll them up
right?
tight and lay them on the board, seam side down. Then
Yeah, so I
slice
think you pick something
groove
else
them,
for a
not
professional.
straight down bruises across the knot. This is a great cut for making last-minute herbal additions to salads, pizzas, heck, even dessert. Of course, not every herb can be easily stacked and rolled. So for things like
Okay.
tarragon, chervil,
So speaking
cilantro,
of down
and
public
parsley,
speaking,
try this. Start by gathering the leaves between your fingers
How
so
can
you've
we
got
spin
more
that
leaf than
into
stem.
a
Then lay them on
positive?
the board, and again,
let's
slice
work through
across,
this
not
worksheet
down.
here. Does anybody have
When
not
you're
have
done, you'll have a
weakness yet?
uniform large chop. For a
You
fine
don't have
chop,
weakness,
spread
you
them
want
out
Coach
and
Flex
arc
or
the blade
classmate
back and
help you
forth
kind
through
of
the
pick
ears
one?
as few times as possible. If you spread them each time, 3
Guys,
passes
do not
should
tell
do the
us if you
trick.
don't have.
That's more like it. If you were to add some minced garlic to that, you'd have what the French call persillade. And if you were to add citrus to that, you'd have what the Italians call panna. Either of which make very nice last-minute additions to sauté dishes, as well as soups and sauces. Whenever I come into a big old bunch of quality herbs, say at summer's end, I start thinking about making up a batch of Good Eats Herb Bomb number 9. That's just my word for dried herbs. Now, technically, any herb can be dried, but hardier herbs like oregano, bay, sage, thyme, and rosemary tend to hold on to their essential oils even after they've given up most of their moisture. So I try to stick with those. And the biggest problem with dried herbs is that they're usually ugly and brown. That's because as they age, enzymes inside the leaves break down the chlorophyll. Okay, and that's why they turn dark. But this chemical terminator can be stopped with a quick dip in. Each bunch goes in for about 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, watch your fingers, 4, 5. Then we stop the cooking process with ice water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's straight into your trusty salad spinner. Good for your fine washables too. That's another show.
Okay, so it is 8:27. We have until 9:17 to get a bunch of work done. And I've been going through Canvas and such, and I will be talking to all of you about things you might still want to complete. Timelines that we started the other day, finish those. And then I'm going to explain our spotlight on herbs and spices. This is not due until next Wednesday, but in between that, or next Thursday, but in between that, we're going to have our lab. So we'll have time to work on it, but we're also going to be making our dough and making our noodles at the same time. Okay. So for our spotlight on herbs and spices, you're going to pick one herb and one spice. You're going to do two, one herb and one spice. And I have a template for you. You don't have to use this template, but it is all ready for you. You want to download it so you can type on it. Put your name there. Choose one herb and one spice. Herb, spice. Put a picture of your herb and the name of it. And then where does the herb come from? And have more than one, I guess, there. What is the history? Okay, who discovered it? Where was it grown? Why are we using it today? This guy had to come from somewhere. What form is the herb most commonly used? Is it used whole, ground, dried, fresh, and have a picture? What is the flavor? How is the flavor described? Okay, be specific. Some of them have a very distinct flavor. What does it look like in its original form? Okay, so if it is the plant, what does the plant look like? And then have a picture. In what cultures, cuisines, or geographical areas is the herb most commonly found? Have a picture. What are the most common uses for the herb? List at least 3. Recipes. Find 2 recipes that use your herb and provide the required information below. You choose basil, I put bruschetta in here. We made that in class. How much does it cost? Is it more or less expensive than other herbs? If you choose saffron as a spice, saffron is very expensive. Have a picture. Then you'll do the same thing for your spice. Okay, and I have it all out here in a template. So you just have to look for your information about your 2, your herb and your spice, and plug it all in. Download it. Okay. So this is not due until next Thursday, but we have a nice about 50 minutes today to work on timelines, history of food, spotlight on herbs and spices. Take your pick. And then we'll make our dough on Tuesday. And again, that'll be a 92-minute class. So we'll have plenty of time to make our dough and then work on assignments. And then Thursday might be a little bit more challenging because we got to roll out our dough.
Go ahead. Who wants me to continue to
Cook
kind of
them
walk
and all
through?
that. So that one's going to take, our lab's going to take a little bit longer.
Okay, just these 2, Case, you guys
And
are
then
good?
our next
Case,
class
okay,
will
are you good? working
plan our
on your
winter
own?
project and we're going to do our
You want to come up and
cheesy
join
bread.
us, or do you want to work on it on your
spice
own?
blends too.
Okay, make sure it gets done. There's a lot of content in there.
Spice blend.
So work on the weakness one, and then work on, after that, you need to work on the confident candidate, which shouldn't take very long. And then tell me about yourself. It's gonna be a little bit longer. You're gonna need to write a paragraph on that one, but it kind of breaks down the structure of what to talk about. There shouldn't be a whole lot of problem with that. Tell me about yourself is just a text box. So you don't need to upload, there's no room to upload a file or anything on that. There's just instructions and examples and then a text box, okay? So I'll let you guys do that, and it's just YouTube. I want you to mix all over my voice a little bit, but I'm not young business. What do you mean?
That's what you look like.
It'll break down what you talk about for that every question, okay? Okay, so we're still on positive planning. right?
Yes. William. It doesn't matter.
So these questions on here for the cheesecake or whatever, like it's giving the same information for each slide, so you don't. put
Okay,
the same-
Rizal, what's your weekend?
Okay, so like,
You can tell me, I can't help you. So you struggle with technology, you struggle using technology, and yours is public speaking, Stephen? Okay, so what do others, what would you say others think about your weakness in public speaking? They tell you not to be shy? Yeah, that's a good one, that's a good one to put. What do others, family members and friends say about, your struggle with technology?
For your picture.
Yeah, is there anybody that says, I don't think that's true, I don't think you're as bad as you think you are?
Your timeline is full
I
of
bet there
that, I'll
is.
tell you. I just put them away because of that.
Yeah, you're still there. So others tell me that this weakness is untrue and I'm being, too hard on myself or unfair to myself, right? So lastly, Stephen,
Doesn't that give you
why might
anxiety?
someone think this weakness is positive? Why might you think that, not being a great public speaker might be a positive? Could it maybe be that you're a better listener than you are a talker? And so you're more of a empath, more able to take in what people are saying,
One or
and
two power.
relay it, more of a listener than a talker maybe? And maybe you don't mind talking, but you really prefer listening and you don't want to talk until you heard what everybody had to say and have a chance to talk about it, right? What about you,
My
Giselle?
email, that's about all I can handle at one time.
Why might someone think that your shortcomings in technical knowledge might actually be a positive? What could be a positive? One positive of that is that you have a lot of room to grow in that area and you don't have a lot of times when people have even a base knowledge of something, Griselda, it's hard to train them on stuff because they know it a certain way already. Because you maybe don't have some of that base knowledge already, your ceiling is very, very high because you don't have to unlearn a lot of those concepts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I would say something like that. You guys understand? Stephen Griselda. By the way, you guys wanted to work on your own. If you get hung up or have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or come up and ask me. That doesn't mean I won't help you at all. I can just tell you guys are a little more willing, I think, to work quietly this morning than you are to participate in the group. It's okay, it's Friday, I get it. We can adjust.
Have you ever made, or can you make cheesecake?
Make cheesecake. You could do it for bacon. Well, it is, it just takes a long time.
You do?
Yeah, well, real cheesecake is big. It takes a long time. It's a Jello cheesecake.
Yeah.
But I've done, I successfully did.
I got yours, Angel, thank you.
Take one before it's fully.
Maybe. I mean, you could do a bacon bag.
Are you guys ready to move on to the next one? Not quite. Oh, let me see, Stephen, what do you got? Yeah, so step 5, we're gonna put everything together. What is your biggest weakness? I want you to talk about what your weakness is, how people perceive it, and then how it's actually a strength.
So cute.
You're gonna kind of put everything together there, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. History of food, your favorite food, and on spices.
I still got a lab playing too.
You left, oh, that's, you left one too. I've never heard it. I haven't gone to the.
Pasta.
Oh,
Homemade
that's ordered
pasta.
first.
We just did that. And then. Yeah, it's-
Blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
it went down.
Done. She's on. She said that. But I'll do it. What, soon? Because it's really important.
Wait, hey, the bathroom.
You're done.
Yes, I know.
You have like 2.
Like 12 and a half days.
So 11 and then half day.
Today is 11. No, I'm not bringing it up.
Let's see what this is.
Hey, Autumn.
Yeah.
I told Orlando yesterday that I looked up his grades. He said that's creepy. I said, you have three Ds. I told him he has three Ds. That's bad. He's not gonna graduate.
Grade this in.
He's a junior.
It's for most important. Yes.
And then things in. I don't think campuses do the credits. That's some other programs I do. But yeah, I can only go in. And, yeah, you did the nice course, but don't forget to do business. Something in.
I love Miss Levy. And I had her last year.
The mailbox. Never mind.
No. Why did I say I'm on the street? I'm gonna turn this off. I leave it on.
Everything that I have ears.
What?
How you guys doing? Ready to move on to the next one? You gonna do it on your own? That's like, okay.
Yeah, no big one.
Yeah, no baked cheesecake is really good. If you ever feel to try it. Like, picnic.
I do miss the way.
I have a question. What are we supposed to wear for the winter concert?
Probably the same zone. I'll just ask him if he likes to.
Yeah, can you do that?
Yeah.
Like it's like not that far away.
Look at the pictures. That's absolutely fine. I'll see.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
No, he's on. He's on. It's nice.
I think this.
Yeah, you can say that. Oh, there's a card in there that they're all like.
The closing and opening finger.
Yeah.
Finder.
Yeah. Like it has to be down.
Is wearing the rose.
It's done. I-
So I did my third place in this. I didn't like this, but show up this next.
What's with?
Yeah, I don't know. I've stuff before of where students take away and it doesn't show up.
Okay, so now you're saying no. Okay. Yeah, when it is on this, that's what I'm- Activities related to wine masking, flyers, now every think is coming to work those rooms. Yep.
See, now if you actually open it. Yeah. you can.
South America. West. India.
So what's the like herbs and spices thing? It's not really due till next Thursday.
I don't think.
We're kind of bouncing around so that we're getting some things coming done, but then also putting our labs in. So we are kind of bouncing.
You mean right at the. Is it? It's. Okay.
See, I get it. What does it mean by the?
Oh, so like cooking.
What, yeah, essential oils.
It makes all the difference. So she's making donuts, she's making oatmeal, she's making coffee grounds, which it's very good. It very rough. So like it'll serve percent, so you have to use washable. She makes the figures and dragons, but like cookies. She makes so much so she has like right back. Has like many areas. Supplies. Yeah. She loves that. It's like a pick and egg. So it looks yes, like such a.
Oh. No.
Thank
Get it? Okay.
So that's.
But double, and
Mm.
did you take videos of me?
Doodle dough and work on our spice stuff for school on Tuesday. So it'll be a. So the 90. Yes.